Zion with 31 last night in just 28 minutes. The Pels beat the Portland Trailblazers 138-117 there at the Blender. That was Todd Graffagnini on the call, of course, heard on the flagship of the Pelicans, our affiliate, 100.3 ESPN New Orleans. Graf, good enough to join us now. How are you, man?
I am great, Matt. And by the way, isn't it amazing how guys who get into radio as their profession hate math and science?
I don't think that it's a surprise. Like, I think isn't that a very natural thing? Like, if you're a science and math guy, you probably were smart and became a doctor, an accountant, an engineer, and you're not probably a great broadcaster, I would think, right? I mean, doesn't that sort of make sense?
Yeah, just for example, my wife went to Duke, loved, she's an MD, loved math, loved science.
Yeah.
And I'm a radio guy. And there you have it.
Way to marry up, bro.
Exactly.
An MD from Duke.
Exactly.
Put a ring on that thing real quickly, Graf.
Yep.
Okay, but you do have the enviable job of watching this rookie season of Zion, although he wasn't active until halfway through the season. Man, it's been a highlight reel, and last night maybe the best yet. Game one with that burst restriction to now, what's the biggest difference you see night in, night out?
I think he's starting to figure it out as far as what he is able to do offensively, as far as how he's going to be defended now, Matt, because you started to see some variances in what Portland was doing on him as far as making switches. The problem for Portland is none of them worked because he's just flat stronger than everybody else. The play that comes to mind for me was he got it on the right baseline with Hassan Whiteside in his grill. And Hassan Whiteside is not a small individual. He's 7 feet. He is 265, 70 pounds. And Zion put his right shoulder down and literally knocked Whiteside 2 feet back and cleared space and laid it in easily. And when Hassan Whiteside, who is one of the premier shot blockers in the NBA, starts looking around going, what am I supposed to do with this? And he had 5 fouls and again, had no answer whatsoever for what Williamson did. The scary thing is, Matt, you're talking about his rookie year. He's 9 games in. He is 9 games in. He's still figuring it out. And my heavens, when he figures it out, like really, really figures it out, I shudder to think what opponents are going to do, because there's little answers right now.
Okay, so let's peel back that onion a little bit, because so you mentioned Whiteside, but last night they tried Whiteside on him. They tried, the call we heard coming out was Trevor Ariza,
right?
And then they also tried Melo on him. Like,
yep.
Where is the mismatch? Or mismatch is probably the wrong word. What's the best way to defend Zion right now?
Get what Milwaukee has. Get Giannis.
Right? Is that it?
Robin Lopez. That's it. That is it. That's the only team that we have seen. Again, I guess it's fortunate or unfortunate that Milwaukee has been in this 9-game stretch, but that's the only team that's really frustrated him, so to speak. But who's got Giannis? Nobody except Milwaukee.
Right.
And you got Robin Lopez. So stick a couple of 7-footers out there and hope. I mean that's all I've seen to this point, but nobody else has that. So it really is going to be fun to watch, because we're basically starting a new season. We went 44 games without watching this guy, and now he's still playing his way into NBA shape. So as the season rolls on, as we get into later February and March and early April, as his conditioning is going to get better and better, and he's figuring out what he's going to do offensively even further, get on board, man. Enjoy the ride. That's all I got to say. Enjoy the ride.
Todd Graffagnini is with us, radio voice of the Pels. Of course, you can hear the Pels on our affiliate, 100.3 ESPN, New Orleans Pelicans flagship. As far as Zion's teammates, I've said it looks like Lonzo has been the biggest beneficiary of Zion's presence. Do you see it that way, or in what other ways materially are they different or better with Zion on the floor?
Well, I see two. Lonzo has been fabulous. Now, he stated after the Indiana game, which was a very big win in its own right back on Saturday in Indianapolis, he has never felt better physically. And in the last 21 games, Lonzo Ball, and this is before Zion even came back, Lonzo Ball is basically averaging a triple-double. He's got 14 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds in the last 21 games. That's a pretty large sample size. This is the perfect offense for Lonzo Ball to operate. Now you add Zion Williamson into the mix. Those guys had a chemistry going in the preseason, and that stemmed back to the voluntary, quote-unquote, voluntary workouts in the summer before training camp even started. We were seeing these half-court alley-oops at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center in the gym way back in July and August. So this has been going on for a while. It really is a shame that Zion missed all this time. But they really haven't missed a beat if you think about it. Lonzo Ball, his passing ability has been, it's uncanny the way he can put the ball exactly where he wants it across really, really good distances. You look at a play last night, he crosses half court basically at the tip of the Pelicans logo, and he chests it right to the rim. He couldn't have gone to the restricted arc and handed it to Zion any better, and Zion just goes up and gets it and lays it in. It's beautiful. But the other guy that's benefited has been Nico Melli with Zion coming back, because that spaced the floor. Melli has gotten much more confident with his shot. He had an off night last night, but they have encouraged him to keep shooting the ball because he's getting open looks, and he's really been a big part of this thing. So, it's a team effort. I guess that's as simple as I can put it right now. Remember, Matt, they have been without their all-star wingman the last 2 games against Indiana and Portland. No Brandon Ingram, no problem. Win on the road, and that win last night at home, which really was outstanding, because that last night you could feel the Smoothie King Center just loving every minute what they saw with the team, and it's really just the beginning of what the vision of David Griffin and Trajan Langdon and Swin Cash and everybody in the front office and Alvin Gentry and the assistants. This is what they envisioned when all this went down in the summertime after the Anthony Davis trade and getting the Laker guys. And, this is what they had in mind with all the pieces in place. And now you're finally seeing it come to fruition.
I got a couple more for you, Graf. Todd Graffagnini is with us on Twitter at NTGraff, radio voice of the Pels. Pels win last night, 21-point win at home over the Blazers. We were talking about Lonzo, and this sparked in my brain because I saw earlier today LaVar was raising all kind of hell because of his younger son who's playing in Australia. Being around the organization, have you heard anything from LaVar internally there? Because it seems like as much as we talk, Graf, about that, the possibility of that distraction, it's kind of been non-existent, right?
Seen him 3 times, Matt. He was in Toronto opening night, that nationally televised game. We started the NBA season off
right
in Toronto. God, that seems like a lifetime ago. But opening night was in Toronto. LaVar Ball was there. As a matter of fact, my brother took a picture with him. My brother went to the game that night. So he was there opening night. He came to the Dallas home opener in the Smoothie King Center. And then when we were out in L.A. to play the Lakers, I guess it was about a month and a half ago, LaVar Ball was at that game, coincidentally sitting with Rich Paul, super agent of Anthony Davis. They were sitting next to each other on the baseline. Those are the only times we have seen LaVar Ball. So he has been to 3 games in person. And from what I've seen, I haven't seen them even interact. But those are the only times that LaVar Ball has been in person to watch Lonzo play.
All right, last thing. 4.5 out of the 8 spot. When you look at what's ahead post All-Star break, what's realistic for this team if they make a push?
Get to 500, Matt. Get to 500. You gotta understand. We were 6-22.
I remember.
Right now we're 8. Yes, so do I. We were 8 games under 500. We were wandering in the wilderness, Matt Moscona. You didn't even know if we were going to win another basketball game. But the last time the Pelicans were 8 games under 500, the record was 6-14. So we're 8 games under right now. If you get to 500, number one, that would be remarkable, considering where you were at 6-22 and 7-23. But get to 500 and see what happens from there. You know, Memphis is just playing at such a tremendous clip. You would hope that they would come back to the pack. You know, it's pretty ironic. The 8 and 9 seed, Memphis is the 8 and Portland is the 9, and you're a combined 5-0 against those two teams.
Yeah.
You can match up against those two. The problem is you don't play them every night. You got to get some help, but I think the goal right now, the realistic goal, is to get to 500 somehow, some way, and just see what happens. And if you don't make the playoffs, so be it. If the 13-game losing streak at the beginning of the year, if that costs you, well, you know what? You learn a lesson the hard way, and then you go into the offseason with a full head of steam, with playoffs absolutely as a minimum goal next year. But get to 500 and hope everything falls into place.
And you go into the offseason with basically everybody's draft picks for the next 3 years. A lot of the roster back too.
Right. Matt, I mean, these guys are under contract for next year. The majority of the team is coming back, and that's what, I watched. I came home last night and I was so excited, and I wanted to watch that third quarter again. And I'm watching and I'm seeing the excitement in the arena, and I'm seeing these guys running up and down the floor and dunking and passing. 40 assists, franchise record last night. And I'm thinking, my goodness, this is the 2006 Saints. This is the 2000. This is just the beginning, man. This is just the beginning. The front office is stable. You've got a young core that's 22 or younger. All these guys are coming back. The excitement in the arena, in the city, there's a palpable buzz talking about the NBA. I don't want to get too crazy, but that's what I thought about last night. I'm like, this could be what we saw in 2006 when you're talking about long-term, stable organization, and hopefully one day there'll be a Larry O'Brien trophy in a case somewhere.
Let's do it. Todd Graffagnini is with us. We appreciate the time as always, Graff. Thanks, man.
Matt, anytime.